What is the worst memory you have of school? Grade 5. Took my first and last shit in school. Some younger kids kept jumping into or under the stall. That happened to me in grade 3, when I was taking a piss. So after the first time a kid popped under the stall, I told him to stop doing that, and when he did it again I just pissed on him. Getting my period, and bleeding through my clothes. Walked around all day with blood on the back of my skirt until someone told me, and I had to tie a jacket around my waist. This happened a few times in middle school. I had heavy periods, and had to wear khaki clothes. Not as bad as my husband's worst memory, though, when he was in 9th grade. During an assembly a student pulled out a gun, shot at the ceiling once, sending everyone running and screaming, and then killed himself. What the fuck? Yep, my husband knew him a bit, and sat across from him in class. They had to give the students counseling, because it was so horrible. A schoolmate talking to me about masturbation. Followed up by telling me he was doing it right now. And he was. Oh. Drama club kids making a game of seeing how far they could push me, until I quit the school play once they got the other designated punching bag freak to quit. They wouldn't give me a copy of the script and someone only lent me a copy to photocopy once. I swore I wouldn't tell who let me have it. They'd move my stuff around whenever they found my latest hiding place. I got threatened physically, and got cornered, and told what a fuck up loser I was a couple of times. They got me to stand at the very end of the cast photo, and I was the only one that got cropped out in the yearbook photo. They did so much shit. If I detailed it all it would be a wall of text. It fucked me up for a while and I never went for another play, even though I loved being on stage. But I never gave them tears, and I didn't quit. Where was the fucking drama teacher? Why was it up to the other kids to give you a script? That's fucked up. First grade. My teacher wouldn't let me use the bathroom until my desk was organized. She was pretty mean in general. I really needed to pee. The rest of the class was dismissed. So it was just her and I couldn't focus because I had to pee so fucking bad. So I did. Standing there. Then I promptly left and hoped no one would notice. Spoiler. Everyone noticed. You did the right thing. She's not going to pay for your medical fees for kidney damage. I hate such teachers. Dude, our teachers were all obsessed with the idea that we should all pee during our breaks. Clearly they don't remember having a tiny child-sized bladder. Fucking idiots, seriously. Same in my school. They don't understand that kidneys work 24/7 non-stop. Freaking idiots. In 2nd grade, the kid next to me at lunch poured his entire carton of milk all over my pizza. So I went to throw it away, but the lunchroom monitor said I hadn't eaten enough of it and made me take more bites of it. So I was just standing there crying by the trash cans and eating milk-soaked cafeteria pizza until I had achieved some arbitrary level of doneness. Classic teachers. I too remember being literally screamed at by our Australian sports teacher for not wanting to eat everything on the plate. He drooled when he was shouting at me, like a large 20 centimeters non-breaking drool stream from his mouth to the table. Fucking psycho. I hate people who yell at elementary age kids. It just pisses me off so much. I certainly wouldn't be standing by if someone was screaming at my younger sister. We had a threat made, and the middle was evacuated. They put all of us in the football stadium. We sat in 95 dead point F direct sunlight for about 2 hours. They tried distributing water, but couldn't get enough. Once people started passing out they moved us to the high school auditorium. It was a tight fit, but at least we had ACK and reheated sandwiches for lunch. Nothing was found, and in the end our hall pass policy was stricter. There was also an adult monitoring the bathrooms at all times for the rest of the year. What was the threat? Bomb threat in red pen on the locker room wall. Then they probably did the right thing. Can't risk lives of children, no matter how stupid it gets. Evacuation was the correct move. The 2 hours cooking in the stadium was a dumb move. We should have gone straight to the auditorium. They waited until people started passing out. 8th grade. Got randomly puked on by a kid named Ben who sat next to me in class. Why me? Was peeing in the urinal. Kid fucking running start ninja kicks me in the back. My head smacks against the brick in front of me. Turn around, piss all over him. Punched him as hard as I could in the shoulder. It was resolved. Lol. Oh man, I laughed so hard at this. This reminded me of my middle school days, when the Jackass movie came out, and punk/skateboard culture was all the rage. It was normal to just walk up to your friend and smack them. probably at the beginning of 10th grade. I was getting a lot of stomach problems plus anxiety and depression were hitting my life hard. So because of the problems above I wasn't really going to school. I was barely eating anything. And I just wanted to sleep my life away. One of the school council teachers that I was good friends with at the time said that I wasn't trying hard enough and that my depression is a joke. I never talked to her again and I ended up switching schools in the middle of the school year. Funny how she's a counselor. Either the time my psychotic French teacher locked me in the supply cupboard or when my Latin teacher hit me with a ruler. Note, said Latin teacher now works for the BBC after the child sex offences trial collapsed due to his very expensive lawyers. He'll probably threaten to sue me if he sees this comment. Is he in a position visible to the public, like an anchor or a reporter? Occasional presenter, mostly to plug his book where he victim blames and claims that he's the real victim. Classic narcissist. Getting yelled at for shit I can't control. That's not just school, but life in general. In kindergarten I peed in the lunch line, and when I got back from changing there were kids sliding around in the water where they mopped it up. I was mortified. I'm sure I had worse things to happen but this was the one that has stuck the most. Was going to say peeing my pants in kindergarten, tearing up and going to the teacher to ask for help, and they give you those awful lost and found sweatpants and everyone laughs the rest of the day at you. Rough memes. In grade 1 my friend Colin and I were in the bathroom, and I leaned up against the stall doorway not realizing my finger was in the hinge. Colin thought it would be funny to slam the door, and to this day I don't know if he knew my finger was there or not, but he swung that metal door closed so fucking hard that he basically broke my finger in half without breaking the skin. I cried so hard that I got a nosebleed, and continued crying even harder until, to the discovery of all the faculty in the office, you can actually cry hard enough to bleed out of your eyes. I popped enough blood vessels that the whites of my eyes looked completely red, and as a result of the pressure on my face from crying so hard I started crying blood. I'll assume this isn't just my worst memory of school, but maybe a few of the office people too, since they had a small child with entirely crimson eyes with trails of blood streaking down his cheeks like a fucking horror movie screaming and pointing a crooked finger at them. Is your finger okay? I wore boxer shorts to school because my mom told me people wore them as regular shorts. I did this in elementary school during summer camp. My mom didn't know what boxer shorts were. She thought they were just neat colored kids shorts. That's all she packed me for the entire week. My dad kidnapped us for the first time and put us in school. When my mother found us, she went to school to get us. I didn't want to go, cause she physically abused me, and I was kind of happier with the less abusive parent. I ran throughout the school as police officers, teacher, and my mother looked for me. I think they found me in the bathroom, hidden in a stall. It took them a bit to find me, but I remember not understanding why the school, the place I would escape to, would give me over to a woman who beat me. This one is a lot like mine. That shit sucked. Hopefully, you're better now. Gym class, dressing room, in the bathroom crying because my bullies, Brenda V, and 2 other girls, were making fun of the way I walked, and the fact I had big boobs. When I was in middle school, I have cerebral palsy and crooked hips. I was about to come out of the stall, when I heard them walk in. They giggled to each other, and loudly harassed me. Heard a click. Then some toilet paper was tossed over the stall door. Lit on fire. Luckily I didn't get burned too badly. Temporary red marks. No scarring, but it was terrifying to say the least. It didn't end there. I stumbled out of the stall screaming and crying, but they grabbed my shoulder and shoved me to the wall, proceeding to tear my shirt and bra open, calling me things like cow and some expletives, laughing in my face. Then, they left. I never reported it, because I was too scared and embarrassed. Looking back, I should have so the trio could get thrown out of school or something. I wanna kick Brenda V right in the V. Getting pantsed in front of an entire class of people. Pants and boxers. I got pants by the same girl in my pet class twice during my sophomore year. However, I was more fortunate than you, in that my boxers managed to stay on both times. Thank God. My condolences to you. Welp, when I was in high school a classmate, girl, liked me and she was around me all the time. I didn't like her cause she acted childish thinking she was funny, but she was a pain in the ass to listen to. One day I was talking to another classmate. She kept interrupting and interrupting. I told her I was talking to X. She snapped and hit me. We both fell on the floor. I was grabbing her wrists, so she didn't hit me anymore. Teachers arrived, and even though all the classmates told them I was innocent and that she was the one to start, but teachers didn't believe it. Cause I was a boy and she was a teacher's pet. I hated that school. Catholic. Private/expensive. Wouldn't teach shit. You wouldn't pass an exam if you didn't lick the teacher's asshole. They just grabbed my parents' money and left me behind in class. When I moved to a public school, parents didn't want my scores raised to be almost perfect and classmates weren't psychos. Catholics are generally good people. Catholic churches and schools are run by the worst. It was an extracurricular activity, but playing football, American, messed up my life pretty bad. I ruptured 2 discs in my neck and was told by my doctor I was lucky to not be a quadriplegic. After I told my coach the bad news, and I can either play again or risk not being able to walk, I was told thanks for letting me know. Nothing else. I became extremely isolated after that. My social life tanked, and I nearly got hooked on painkillers at 15. The amount of activity I can do at 23 is severely limited. I've already had 4 surgeries and have to go physical therapy intermittently to alleviate some of the symptoms. I loved football and weightlifting. I was getting close to break school records in weightlifting. Really wish I would have stuck to the weights. I challenged one of my bullies to a fight. He brought a bunch of his mates. I was bullied because I hadn't rough hands off a bottle of Head and Shoulders. Bullying. It was absolutely horrible. In 3rd grade, my teacher would encourage the rest of the children to stare at the one that was acting up, and in some cases even record them, which would then cause the target child to cry. Sometimes, I would be one such case. Thankfully, the counselor is the epitome of a blessing and would help me through my troubles a lot. I had a good relationship with one of my teachers, and it would be quite normal to joke around with her. She spoke to me once after a bad score on a test and said I need to apply myself better. I jokingly said back, quote, well, a pupil can only be as good as their teacher. She took it really offensively, like I was insinuating my laziness was her fault, even though I was just joking around. Looking back, I can totally see why. I hadn't meant to be a jerk, but it was a total dick thing to say. I'm in my 30s now and still feel bad about it from time to time. It's one of those lay in bed at night thinking about past mistakes things. My 2nd grade teacher, Mrs. Levoy, throwing my assignment on the floor and yelling at me because she hadn't told us to bring it up to her desk yet. She liked to play evil games of Simon Says That way. When I went to prom my junior year and the girl I went with ditched me and I was left alone. In the school I was in as a 7th grader, there usually was a celebratory school trip to a amusement park to mark moving on to the next step of the educational ladder. This one year, as we were the ones that were going, and the day was closing in, I quickly noticed everyone was being much kinder to me, and a couple other kids they used to pick on relentlessly, even going as far as calling us friends, and asking to play with us and all that kid stuff. Well, all the way up until the school trip was over, and they went right back at bullying us like before. Turned out the teachers had told the parents of my classmates there would be no school trip if they could not get their kids to stop being bullies. Felt like a dagger to the spine when classmates who I had come to think of as friends simply just ghosted me and acted as we never knew each other to begin with. If anyone asks why I have some trouble trusting people, it's stuff like this. In primary school, maybe around age 6, we had a themed day where everyone had to wear blue for some national history thing. I insisted to my mum that it was that day, but I was wrong. So I turned up wearing a blue jumper instead of my school uniform on the wrong day. To this day, I'm still completely paranoid about any event where you have to dress up. In my mid-30s now, and I still compulsively check dates for fancy dress events 100 times. April 28th, 1999. A friend handed me a wadded up shirt as a birthday gift. Someone nearby saw the exchange and thought it was a weapon. Once the get to class bell rang, 6 admin staff escorted myself and 3 of my friends into the office for interrogation. Just short of being strip searched, staff went through everything in my backpack, paper by paper. When they had nothing actionable, the guilt tripping started about how I was dressed. After 3.5 hours of interrogation, we were released to class with no excuse for the missed periods. So we had to deal with that as well. Encounters with the faculty continued until I finally graduated.